"Get down," he shouted in Korean, his voice sharp and raw, nothing like the calm tone he used when ordering men to die. The bullet shattered the glass inches from her face. She screamed as his body slammed over hers, the weight of him knocking the air from her lungs. Warm blood dripped onto her neck, not hers, his. "You're bleeding," she whispered, hands shaking as sirens wailed somewhere far below. "Don't look at me," he said through clenched teeth. "Look at the door. If it opens, run." "I won't leave you," she cried. His dark eyes locked onto hers, fierce, desperate, burning with something he had never allowed himself to feel. "If you stay," he said softly, almost broken, "they will kill you because of me." Sound effect, explosion ringing silence. What if the most dangerous man in Seoul didn't fall in love with a woman who belonged in his world? What if he fell for the one person he was never supposed to touch? What if the woman cleaning his house was the one who would destroy him? The rain fell hard over Seoul that night, washing neon lights into bleeding colors across the streets. In a quiet, guarded mansion high above the city, Aisha moved silently across marble floors, her bare feet careful, her head down, her presence meant to be invisible. She had learned that skill early in life. Invisibility kept you alive. She wiped the long dining table where powerful men sat hours ago, their low voices still echoing in her mind. She didn't understand Korean fluently, but she understood tone, danger, control, death spoken calmly like business. She worked as a live-in maid, paid well, no questions asked, that was the deal. And the man who owned this house, Kang Jae-ho, never looked at her longer than necessary. He was the most dangerous man in Seoul, and she was just the black maid who cleaned his bloodstains without asking why they were there. Jae-ho stood alone in his private study, jacket off, sleeves rolled up, tattoos slipping into view like secrets. The city stretched beneath him through bulletproof glass. His phone vibrated again. 3 missed calls. She's late. He told himself it didn't matter. A maid coming home late was none of his concern. Yet his jaw tightened as he checked the clock. 11:47 p.m. She always returned by 10. Always. Sound effect, phone buzz. "Find her," he said quietly into the phone. "Yes, Hyung," his lieutenant replied. "Just a maid, boss." Jae-ho's grip tightened until the phone creaked. "She is under my roof," he said. "That makes her my responsibility." He ended the call and stared at his reflection. Cold eyes, controlled breathing, no emotions allowed. That rule had kept him alive since he took over the syndicate after his father's assassination. Feelings were weaknesses. And yet, his mind betrayed him with unwanted memories. Aisha humming softly while cooking, the way she flinched at loud noises, how she bowed deeply, never meeting his eyes, yet somehow saw everything. He told himself it was irritation. Nothing more. Aisha stepped out of the bus into the rain, clutching her thin jacket around her. The streets near the mansion were darker, quieter, too quiet. Her instincts screamed. She quickened her pace. That's when the black van rolled up beside her. Sound effect, tires screeching. A hand grabbed her arm. She screamed. The man cursed in Korean, yanking her toward the van. "No, please," she struggled, heart pounding, memories of another night, another country, another kind of violence crashing back into her chest. A gunshot rang out. The man dropped. Another body fell. Aisha collapsed to the ground, shaking. Jae-ho stepped out of the shadows, gun smoking in his hand, rain slicking his hair back, eyes dark with fury. "Who touched you?" he asked, voice deadly calm. She stared up at him, shocked, breathless. You came." He offered his coat, hands steady, face unreadable. "You were late," he said. That was all. No comfort, no questions. But when she stood, her knees gave out. He caught her. For half a second, her body pressed against his chest. The air shifted between them. Sound effect, heartbeat. He froze. She smelled like rain and soap and fear. He released her instantly, stepping back as if burned. "Get in the car," he ordered. As they drove through the city, silence filled the space between them, the kind of silence heavy with things unsaid. "Aisha," he said suddenly, not looking at her, "why were they following you?" She swallowed. "I don't know," she lied. But lies had weight. And Jaiho felt it settle between them. Before we go any further, if you enjoy dark, emotional stories like this, like the video and subscribe to Midnight Obsession Stories. Turn on notifications, because stories like this don't let you go once they start. The car pulled into the mansion gates. Aisha thought she was safe. She was wrong. High above the city, unseen eyes watched the car arrive. A man smiled. "She's the weakness," the man murmured, "and he doesn't even know it yet." Jaiho stood at his window later that night, watching Aisha's light turn on in the servants' quarters. Relief hit him like a punch. He hated it. He hated that her safety mattered. He hated that when she was late, his chest felt tight. And most of all, he hated that he wanted to know her. Because wanting led to attachment. And attachment led to death. Below, Aisha sat on her bed, shaking, realizing one terrifying truth. The man she worked for wasn't just powerful. He was dangerous enough to get her killed. And somehow, he was the only one who had ever protected her. Rain fell harder. Fate had already chosen. This is not a love story. This is a survival story. Morning came to the mansion without warmth. Gray light slipped through tall windows, touching polished floors that never felt lived in. Aisha woke before her alarm, heart already racing, as if her body knew something her mind was still trying to accept. She lay still for a moment, listening. No gunshots. No shouting. Only the distant hum of the city waking up below the hill. She exhaled slowly and sat up, pressing a hand to her chest. Seoul still felt unreal to her some days. Too fast, too sharp, too cold. She moved quietly through her small room, tying her hair back, putting on her uniform. Black skirt, white blouse, simple, invisible, the way she needed to be. In the mirror, she paused. Her eyes looked older than her age. People always said she was strong. They said it like a compliment. But strength, to her, had never been a choice. It was something life forced on you when you ran out of softer options. She had come to Korea 3 years ago with nothing but a suitcase and a promise to herself. Survive, send money home, don't trust anyone. And for the most part, she had succeeded. Until Kang Jaiho. She moved through the mansion, cleaning in silence. Every sound felt louder today, every shadow heavier. She reached the study door and hesitated. This was his space. The air always felt different here, controlled, sharp, dangerous. She knocked softly. No answer. She opened the door just enough to step inside. The room was empty, but the smell of him lingered. Clean soap, leather, something darker underneath. Her eyes caught the bloodstain on the rug, cleaned but not gone, like a ghost. Her stomach tightened. She knelt and began scrubbing, even though she knew it wouldn't disappear completely. Some things never did. Across the city, Kang Jaiho stood on a rooftop, suit flawless, expression unreadable as souls stretched beneath him. His men stood a few steps behind, silent. "Report," he said. "They followed her from the bus stop," his lieutenant said. "Low-level men, not ours, someone was testing." "Who?" Jaiho asked. "We're tracing it, but boss, they didn't take her. They wanted to see how you'd react." Jaiho's jaw tightened. That meant one thing. Someone knew. Not about his business. About his weakness. "She stays in the house," Jaiho said. "No more late returns, no buses." "She's a maid, Hyung," the lieutenant said carefully. "Not family." Jaiho turned slowly. The look in his eyes made the man lower his head instantly. "She is under my protection," Jaiho said coldly. "And if anyone touches her again, I'll erase their bloodline." Silence followed. Jai-ho walked away, coat snapping in the wind. Protection. That word echoed in his mind like an accusation. He had sworn never to protect anything he couldn't afford to lose. Aisha was wiping down the kitchen counters when she felt it. That awareness. The kind that prickled along her skin. She turned. Jai-ho stood in the doorway. Black suit, no tie, his presence filled the room without effort. "Good morning, sir," she said quickly, bowing her head. Too quickly. Her hands shook. He noticed. "Look at me," he said. Her breath caught. Slowly, she raised her eyes. For a moment, neither of them spoke. He saw the fear she tried to hide, the tension in her shoulders, the way her body stayed ready to run. She saw the exhaustion behind his calm, the faint bruise near his collar, the man beneath the power. "You were followed last night," he said. "Yes, sir." "Why?" "I don't know." A lie. A soft one, but still a lie. He stepped closer. Not threatening. Controlled. "You live in my house," he said quietly. "If something from your past is coming for you, I need to know." Her fingers curled into her palms. "My past is finished," she said. He studied her for a long moment, then nodded once. "From now on," he said, "a driver will take you where you need to go. You do not leave the grounds alone." Her eyes widened. "That's not necessary," she said quickly. "I don't want trouble." "Trouble already found you," he replied. Their gazes locked. The air shifted between them. Something unspoken stretched tight. "Yes, sir," she said softly. He turned to leave, then stopped. "You did nothing wrong," he said without looking back. The door closed behind him. Aisha stood there long after he was gone, heart pounding. Why did his words feel heavier than comfort? Why did his concern feel dangerous? Later that day, she received a call from home. Her mother's voice crackled through the phone, tired but warm. "Aisha, are you eating?" she asked. "Yes, Mama." "Are you safe?" A pause. "Yes," Aisha said again. She looked out the window, at guards with guns, at walls meant to keep danger out. "I think I am." That night, Jai-ho sat alone with a glass of whiskey, untouched. He watched security footage on his tablet. Aisha moving through halls. Aisha laughing quietly at something on her phone. Aisha flinching when a door slammed. He closed the screen sharply. This was a mistake. He had allowed her too close to his life. And closeness led to loss. He stood, resolved. Tomorrow, he would put distance back where it belonged. Neither of them knew it yet. But the distance was already closing. And fate, once stirred, did not back away quietly. The next days settled into a strange rhythm. From the outside, nothing had changed. The mansion still breathed quiet luxury. The guards still stood at their posts. Jai-ho still left before sunrise and returned long after dark. But inside, everything felt different. Aisha felt it in the way eyes followed her now. Not just the guards, him. Not openly, never obviously. But she could feel him noticing when she skipped dinner, when she stayed too long in the laundry room, when she went quiet for hours. She hated that part of herself that noticed him noticing. She kept her head down, did her work perfectly, gave him no reason to think about her at all. Still, the driver waited every morning. A black sedan, tinted windows, a man who never spoke. The first time she protested, Jai-ho had looked at her calmly and said, "It's not a suggestion." So she stopped arguing. One evening, she returned earlier than usual. The sky was still bruised blue, not yet black. She entered through the service corridor, shoes in her hand, moving softly. She heard voices. Angry ones. She froze. Jai-ho stood in the main hall with two men. One she recognized as his cousin, Kang Di-hyun. The other she didn't know, but his posture screamed danger. "You're slipping," Di-hyun said, voice sharp. "You were late to the meeting. You canceled the Macau deal. Now you're guarding a maid like she's royalty." Aisha's breath caught. She backed into the shadows. Jaiho's voice was calm, too calm. Watch your words. I'm watching your weakness, Dehyun snapped. People are talking. Jaiho stepped closer. Anyone who talks, he said softly, will stop breathing. Silence fell like a blade. Dehyun laughed, but it was forced. You're changing, cousin, he said, and change gets men like us killed. Aisha pressed a hand to her mouth. She hadn't meant to hear this. She turned to leave. Her foot brushed the wall. The sound was small. But in a house like this, it was enough. Jaiho's head snapped toward her hiding place. Their eyes met. Her heart dropped. She stepped out slowly, bowing deeply. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't mean to interrupt. Dehyun's gaze slid over her, cold and curious. So this is her, he said, the problem. Jaiho's jaw tightened. She's staff, he said, that's all. Aisha flinched, though she didn't know why. Dehyun smiled thinly. Careful, he said, staff can hear and talk. Jaiho didn't reply. His silence was heavier than words. Later that night, Aisha couldn't sleep. She sat on her bed, knees drawn up, replaying the conversation again and again. Weakness. Problem. Killed. She understood then. Being protected by a man like Kang Jaiho was not safety. It was a target. She made a decision before dawn. The next morning, she stood in front of him in the kitchen, hands folded, voice steady. I want to move out, she said. The room went still. Jaiho looked at her slowly. Why? Not a question. A command. I don't want to cause trouble, she said. Your family, your work, I shouldn't be here. His eyes darkened. Who said something to you? No one, she lied. This is my choice. He stepped closer. Too close. You don't get to make choices that put you in danger, he said. Her chin lifted. I've been making dangerous choices my whole life, she said quietly. I survived them without bodyguards. Something flickered across his face. Anger, fear, something else. You leave this house, he said, and you will not survive what's coming. She swallowed. Then teach me how, she said, or let me go. The air between them felt tight, electric. For the first time, Jaiho looked unsure. And uncertainty, on a man like him, was terrifying. He turned away. You're not leaving, he said. Not yet. She watched his back, heart pounding. Not yet meant something was coming. Something neither of them could stop. And somewhere in the city, Dehyun watched from a distance, already planning his next move. Because now, he knew exactly where to strike. The first shot rang out at noon. Not in the mansion. Not in the shadows. But in the middle of a crowded Seoul street, under open sky, where Jaiho believed control still mattered. Aisha was stepping out of a small grocery shop, canvas bag in hand, driver waiting at the curb. She had insisted on coming herself. Normal things, she said. He had allowed it against instinct. The crack of the gun split the air. People screamed. Glass exploded. The driver fell first, blood blooming across his chest as he hit the pavement. Aisha froze. Training she never knew she had kicked in late. She dropped. Another shot tore through the storefront behind her. Sound effect, rapid gunfire screams. She crawled, heart slamming, ears ringing. Her bag spilled open. Oranges rolled into the street, absurdly bright against asphalt and blood. A black sedan skidded sideways, doors flying open. Jaiho was already moving. Gun out, eyes locked, body calm. 3 men, masks professional. They weren't here for money. They were here for him. Stay down, he shouted. Aisha pressed herself behind a concrete barrier, shaking so hard her teeth clicked. She peeked out just long enough to see Jaiho fire with terrifying precision. 1 man dropped, then another. The third ran. Straight toward her. He saw her, hesitated, then raised his gun. Time slowed. Aisha didn't think. She moved. She grabbed the fallen driver's dropped weapon, heavy, unfamiliar, and threw it, not at the man. At his arm. The impact knocked his aim off just enough. Jaiho fired. The man went down hard. Silence crashed in, broken only by sirens and her own breath tearing in and out of her lungs. Jaiho turned. Saw her standing there, hands bloody, eyes wide. Alive. He crossed the distance in seconds and grabbed her shoulders. "Are you hurt?" he demanded. She shook her head, then nodded, then shook it again. Shock stealing language. "You could have been killed," he said, voice low and shaking beneath control. "So could you," she whispered. Something passed between them then, raw, unfiltered. Witnesses were screaming, phones were out, police sirens were too close. Jaiho cursed under his breath. "Change of plans," he said into his phone. "We're burned." He looked at Aisha. "You trusted me?" he asked. She nodded once. "Then don't question me now." They disappeared before the police arrived. Sound effect, car engine roaring, rain beginning. They drove fast, no words, just tension. Jaiho took routes she'd never seen, tunnels, narrow streets, gates opening only for him. Finally, the car descended underground. A safe house. Concrete walls, one room, one exit. He locked the door himself. Only then did his hands start to shake. "You saved my life," he said quietly. She stared at him. "I didn't mean to," she said honestly. "I just moved." He studied her like she was a weapon he hadn't known he owned. "Most people freeze," he said. "You didn't." She wrapped her arms around herself. "I've been hunted before," she said. That was all. But it was enough. Jaiho realized something then, too late to stop it. This was no longer about protection. This was about survival. And now, their lives were tied together by blood, bullets, and a choice neither of them could undo. Far above them, the city kept breathing. And somewhere in it, someone was already planning the next move. The safe house smelled like dust and metal and old secrets. Aisha sat on the edge of a narrow bed, hands clasped so tightly her fingers hurt. The adrenaline was fatting now, leaving fear behind like a bruise you only feel once the impact is over. Jaiho moved through the space with practiced efficiency. He checked locks, cameras, phones, weapons laid out in quiet order. Control, that was how he survived. "You should sit," he said without turning. "I am sitting," she replied softly. He paused, then looked at her. For the first time since the shooting, he really looked. Blood on her sleeve that wasn't hers, dirt on her knees, her eyes too bright, too aware. "You're in shock," he said. "I'm not," she said. "I'm scared there's a difference." Something in her honesty hit him harder than the bullets had. He grabbed a first aid kit and crouched in front of her before she could protest. "Give me your arm." She hesitated. Then she obeyed. His fingers were steady as he cleaned a small cut she hadn't even noticed. His touch was careful, almost gentle, like he was afraid she might break. "You shouldn't have been there," he said. "I know," she replied, "but I was." Silence stretched. Then she asked the question she had been holding since yesterday. "They weren't after me," she said. "They were after you." "Yes." "You're not just business," she said. "You're something else." He didn't answer immediately. "Then I run an organization," he said. "People call it a syndicate, others call it a mafia." Her breath caught. "I clean your house," she whispered. "I cook your food." "And I never asked you to carry my sins," he said. "But I am now," she said. "Aren't I?" He met her gaze. "Yes." The truth sat between them, heavy and unavoidable. Outside, a train passed, the sound echoing through concrete like a warning. "You should let me go," she said quietly. "I don't belong in this world." He stood slowly. "This world doesn't care where you belong," he said. "It only cares who it can use." She stood too, anger cutting through fear. Then stop using me, she said. His jaw tightened. I didn't choose this, he said, and neither did you. But you choose to keep me here, she said. Why? He opened his mouth. Closed it. Because if he answered honestly, there would be no turning back. Before he could speak, his phone vibrated. A secure line. He answered. Yes. A pause. His eyes hardened. How many? Another pause. Find out who ordered it, he said, quietly. He ended the call and looked at her. They're cleaning the scene, he said. This won't be on the news, not the truth. Aisha felt cold. So I just disappear, she said. For now, he replied. That's how you stay alive. She laughed once, sharp and bitter. I came to Korea to escape disappearing, she said. Funny how life works. He watched her carefully. Why did you really come here? He asked. She hesitated. Then she spoke, voice low. Because in my country, when a woman reports the wrong man, she becomes the problem, she said. I thought distance would save me. It explained the flinches, the readiness, the courage under pressure. Jai-ho felt something twist in his chest. Before we go any further, if this story has you holding your breath, subscribe now to Midnight Obsession Stories and turn on notifications. Stories like this only get darker, deeper, and more dangerous from here. Aisha walked toward the small window, staring at concrete. If staying near you means more men with guns, she said, then tell me now, so I can decide. He joined her, close but not touching. Staying near me means danger, he said honestly. Leaving me means death. She closed her eyes. That's not a choice. It's the only one I have to offer. She turned to face him. Then don't lie to me anymore, she said. If I'm in this, I'm in with my eyes open. He studied her, then nodded once. Agreed. In that moment, something shifted. Not trust. Not love. Alignment. Two people standing on the same side of a line, they could no longer step back over. Far away, Kang Di-hyun watched surveillance footage on a private screen. The shooting, the escape, the woman. He smiled slowly. She didn't die, he said. Good. Because now, she could be used. And when the time came, she would bleed just like the rest. The safe house stopped feeling temporary by the second night. Concrete walls didn't change. The single hanging bulb didn't soften. But the silence between them grew heavier, thicker, like something alive. Forced proximity. Aisha felt it every time Jai-ho crossed the room. Every time his shoulder brushed past her in the narrow space. Every time his voice dropped low, controlled, careful. He gave her the bed, took the chair himself. She noticed. You don't sleep, she said quietly, watching him clean his gun for the third time. I rest, he replied. That's not the same. He didn't answer. At dawn, he brought her food from a place she recognized. A small African restaurant hidden near Itaewon. She stared at the containers, shocked. You know this place. I know a lot of things, he said. Eat. Her hands trembled as she opened it. The smell hit her chest before the memory did. Home. She looked up, eyes wet despite herself. Why? She asked. He stiffened. I had someone ask, he said. That's all. But she saw it. The effort. The awareness. You didn't have to, she said. I know. That scared her more. Hours passed, no attacks, no calls. Just waiting. Waiting did strange things to people. By evening, tension snapped. I can't just sit here, Aisha said suddenly. Doing nothing makes it worse. Jai-ho looked up. Doing nothing keeps you alive. I want to help, she said. If this is my life now, I won't be useless. He studied her for a long moment. Help how? Teach me, she said. Rules, what to do if, when this happens again. His eyes darkened. You don't want what I know in your head, he said. I already have it, she replied. I saw men die today. Silence. Then he nodded once. Stay behind me, he said. Always. She almost smiled. Almost. Later, the power flickered. Then went out. Darkness swallowed the room. Aisha sucked in a breath. Sound effect, low electrical hum dying. Jai-ho moved instantly. Don't move, he said. I'm right here, she replied, voice steady but thin. He reached out, fingers brushing her wrist. Electric. Both of them froze. Neither pulled away. The darkness felt intimate, dangerous. Are you afraid? He asked quietly. Yes, she said, but not of you. His grip tightened slightly, protective without meaning to be. You should be, he said. Then why do I feel safer now than I ever did before? She whispered. That question hit him harder than any threat. The power returned suddenly. Light flooded the room. They stepped back at the same time. Distance restored. Breathing uneven. I'll make tea, she said quickly. She moved to the small kitchenette, hands busy, thoughts spinning. Jai-ho leaned against the wall, jaw tight. This was a mistake. Every instinct told him so. Yet when she moved, the room felt wrong without her near. That night, a gunshot echoed in the distance. Aisha flinched. Jai-ho was beside her instantly, body a shield. It's not here, he said. She nodded, swallowing fear. Jai-ho, she said softly, using his name for the first time. He stiffened. Yes. Why did you really come for me that night? He looked away. Because you were late. That's not the truth, she said gently. He closed his eyes. Because I don't like loose ends, he said. She didn't believe him. But she didn't push. Not yet. Some truths needed time. And in that small, locked room, time had nowhere else to go. The third day blurred into the fourth. Time lost its shape inside the safe house. There was no sunrise to measure hope, no sunset to promise rest. Only the steady rhythm of breathing, footsteps, and the city's distant pulse leaking through concrete. Aisha learned Jai-ho's habits without meaning to. How he stood with his back to the wall when he drank water. How he checked exits even when there was only one. How he went quiet when he was thinking about killing someone. Jai-ho learned hers too. How she folded blankets with military precision. How she spoke less when she was afraid, not more. How she sang under her breath when she cooked, soft and broken, like a prayer she wasn't sure anyone was listening to. On the fourth night, she woke from a nightmare with a sharp cry. Jai-ho was at her side before she fully surfaced, hand hovering just above her shoulder, not touching. It's okay, he said low. You're safe. She sat up, breathing hard, eyes wild. I saw them again, she whispered. Men, guns, a door I couldn't open. He pulled back slightly, giving her space. Do you want me to sit here, he asked, or leave? She hesitated, then nodded. Stay. He sat on the edge of the bed, far enough to be respectful, close enough to be real. They sat in silence until her breathing slowed. You don't ask questions, she said eventually. I do, he replied. I just don't force answers. She looked at him then, really looked. The scars on his knuckles, the faint line above his eyebrow, the calm face of a man who had learned to live with violence like others lived with weather. Does it ever stop? She asked. The fear. No, he said. You just stop letting it control you. That doesn't sound like peace. It isn't, he said, but it's survival. She absorbed that quietly. Later, they cooked together. It felt absurd. Two people wanted by killers, arguing softly over spices. You use too much salt, she said. You use too much hope, he replied. She smiled despite herself. That smile did something dangerous to him. He had seen women smile before. Many, none of them mattered. This one did. And that was the problem. As they ate, his phone buzzed. Once. Twice. He ignored it. Aisha noticed. You should check that, she said. He didn't look at the phone. Right now, you matter more. The words hung in the air, heavy and unintended. Her fork paused halfway to her mouth. He realized what he'd said too late. That's not, he started. I know, she said quickly. You mean I'm the priority because I'm a liability. The lie tasted bitter. Yes, he said. She nodded, but something in her eyes dimmed. After dinner, she washed the dishes while he watched the door. It felt domestic. Too domestic. The kind of normal that got people killed. You should hate me, he said suddenly. She turned, surprised. Why? For dragging you into this, he said. For not letting you leave. She dried her hands slowly. I don't hate you, she said. I hate that I don't feel powerless anymore. He frowned. That's dangerous. It's honest, she replied. They stood close, too close. The air shifted between them again, thick with unsaid things. He could smell her soap, hear the hitch in her breath. Every instinct screamed at him to step back. Instead, he stayed. If I touch you, he said quietly, everything changes. Her heart hammered. I know, she whispered. Silence. Then footsteps outside. Both of them froze. Jai-ho moved instantly, pulling her behind him, gun up, body tense. Sound effect, distant footsteps, muffled voices. They passed. False alarm. But the moment lingered. His hand was still on her wrist. Neither moved. Jai-ho, she said softly, you don't have to be alone in this. He released her immediately. That's the only way I survive, he said. And what about living? She asked. He didn't answer. That night, they slept on opposite sides of the room. Neither of them slept at all. Because forced proximity had done its damage. They were no longer just protector and protected. They were becoming something far more dangerous. Attached. The truth came out the way truths always did in Jai-ho's world. Not gently. Not kindly. But sharp enough to draw blood. It started with a knock. Not loud. Not rushed. 3 slow taps against concrete. Jai-ho was on his feet instantly, gun raised, eyes cold. Aisha felt it before she understood it. Her body went rigid, instincts screaming. Behind me, he whispered. She obeyed without question. The knock came again. Jai-ho checked the camera feed. His jaw tightened. It's one of mine, he said, lower level. He opened the door just enough. The man bowed quickly, breathing hard. Boss, we have a problem. Jai-ho stepped outside, closing the door behind him. Aisha stood frozen, heart pounding. Voices filtered through the wall. Urgent, controlled, dangerous. Your cousin, the man said. He's moving faster than we thought. Di-hyun. Aisha's stomach dropped. Jai-ho's voice sharpened. Details. He's been asking questions about the woman, not directly, but people noticed. A pause. There's more, the man added carefully. Police are asking about the grocery store shooting. Someone tipped them off anonymously. Jai-ho exhaled slowly. Go, he said. Say nothing, I'll handle it. When he came back inside, his expression had changed. Not angry. Resolved. Aisha saw it immediately. What's wrong? She asked. He didn't answer right away. He locked the door, checked it twice. Then he faced her. My cousin is trying to kill me, he said calmly, and you are his leverage. The words hit her like a slap. I don't understand, she said. He wants what I have, Jai-ho said. Control, territory, loyalty, and he knows I don't care about much. Her chest tightened. But I care about you, he continued, enough that it's visible. Fear crawled up her spine. So you lied, she said quietly. Yes. The honesty surprised her. You told me you protected me because I was under your roof, she said. That was only half the truth. Yes. And the other half. He hesitated. That hesitation told her everything. You didn't want to say it, she whispered, because saying it makes it real. He met her gaze. You're a weakness, he said, and in my world, weaknesses die. Her breath shook. So what happens to me? She asked. He stepped closer. You stay alive, he said, no matter what. That's not an answer, she said. That's a promise. He nodded once. I don't make promises lightly. She laughed, soft and broken. I never wanted this, she said. I just wanted to clean houses and send money home. And I never wanted to feel, he replied. Silence fell. Then she said the thing she had been holding inside for days. You could have let me go, she said. You didn't. He looked away. I couldn't. Why? Because when I imagine this world without you, it becomes unlivable. He didn't say that. Instead, he said, because letting you go would kill you. She stepped back. I need to know everything, she said, right now. He nodded. I am not a businessman, he said. I am not a CEO. I run a syndicate built on fear and loyalty. I order men to die so others don't have to. Her stomach churned, but she didn't interrupt. My father built it, he continued. Hyun believes it should have been his. Blood doesn't matter to him, only power. And me, she asked. You are proof I can be reached. The truth hurt more than the danger. So I'm a mistake, she said. No, he said sharply. You're not a mistake. Then what am I? He searched for words he didn't use often. You're the line I crossed without realizing it, he said. That scared her more than guns ever could. Before either of them could speak again, his phone buzzed. A message. One photo. Aisha leaned closer before she could stop herself. It was her. Taken that morning. From far away. A message underneath. You should have let her Geo. Her blood ran cold. Jaiho's hand tightened around the phone until his knuckles went white. He's done waiting, he said. Aisha met his eyes, fear giving way to something harder. Then neither am I, she said. And for the first time, Jaiho saw not a liability, but a woman who would fight back. The photo stayed between them like a loaded weapon. Aisha couldn't stop staring at it. The angle, the distance, the certainty that someone had been watching her for days, maybe weeks. They know where I sleep, she said quietly. Jaiho took the phone from her hand and deleted the image, though he knew it changed nothing. They know you exist, he corrected. That's different. She let out a slow breath. In my experience, she said, it's worse. He didn't disagree. He moved to the small table and spread out maps, notes, a second phone. Aisha watched him shift back into command mode, emotions locked down, movements precise. This was his real face. Not the quiet man who brought her food. Not the guarded protector in the dark. This was Kang Jaiho, kingpin of a city that ate weakness alive. You're leaving the safe house, he said suddenly. Her heart jumped. What? Tonight, he continued, but not alone. She stiffened. You said this place was secure. It was, he said. Now it's predictable. Where would I go? He looked at her. With me. The weight of that landed slowly. You mean deeper, she said. Yes. She crossed her arms, grounding herself. You're asking me to trust you even more, she said, after telling me I'm the reason you can be killed. I'm asking you to trust me because of that, he replied. She studied him. Why not send me away, she asked, out of the country, somewhere far. Because Hyun would find you, Jaiho said, and I wouldn't be there. The honesty in his voice left no room for argument. Aisha sat down heavily. So this is it, she murmured. My life becomes yours. No, he said firmly. Your life stays yours, I just make sure you keep it. She laughed softly. You have a dangerous definition of protection. Yes, he said, that's why it works. Silence stretched again. Then she surprised him. Okay, she said. He blinked once. Okay. I won't run, she said. I won't hide. I won't pretend I don't know who you are anymore. Her gaze sharpened. But I won't be silent either. He nodded slowly. Fair. They packed quickly. Not clothes, not personal things. Just documents, phones, weapons. Reality. As they moved through the underground garage, Aisha felt the weight of armed eyes watching her. Men she didn't know, men who knew exactly who Jai-ho was. And now, who she was to him. One of them bowed slightly as she passed. Not to her. To him. That scared her more than the guns. They drove for hours, changing cars twice, routes twisting through the city like a maze designed to break pursuit. Aisha watched Seoul blur past, realizing she might never see it the same way again. Jai-ho, she said quietly from the back seat. Yes. If things go bad, she said, choosing her words carefully, you'll choose your people over me. He didn't answer right away. Then, I will choose the option that keeps you alive, he said. And if that means losing everything else. He met her eyes in the rearview mirror. Then I lose it. Her chest tightened. That's not nothing, she whispered. They arrived at a high-rise she had never noticed before. Empty, silent, secure. As they entered the apartment, exhaustion finally caught up to her. Her legs gave out. Jai-ho caught her without thinking, arms strong, steady. For a moment, she didn't pull away. She rested her forehead against his chest. I'm tired, she admitted. I know, he said quietly. He helped her to the couch, covered her with a blanket. She grabbed his wrist before he could step back. Don't disappear, she said. He stilled. I won't, he said. And for the first time, she believed him. Later, as she slept, Jai-ho stood by the window, phone pressed to his ear. He's escalating, he said calmly, which means he's desperate. A pause. No, he said, she stays with me. Another pause. If that's a problem, he added softly, then we remove the problem. He ended the call and looked back at Aisha, asleep and unaware. Di-hyun had crossed a line. And now, so had Jai-ho. There would be no turning back. Only consequences. And somewhere deep inside him, beneath all the violence and control, one dangerous truth was settling in. He wasn't just protecting her anymore. He was choosing her. The new place was quieter. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that made every sound feel like a warning. Aisha woke slowly on the couch, disoriented for a second before memory rushed back in sharp pieces. Guns, cars, Jai-ho's arms catching her. The city sliding past windows like a life she no longer belonged to. She sat up, pulling the blanket closer. The apartment was high above the street, wrapped in glass and steel. Early light painted the walls pale gold. It was beautiful in a cold, untouchable way. She heard movement. The soft clink of a pan, the low hum of a kettle. Normal sounds. She followed them to the kitchen. Jai-ho stood at the counter, sleeves rolled up, hair still damp from a shower. He looked less like a kingpin and more like a man who hadn't slept enough. You're awake, he said. You cook now, she asked softly. He glanced at her. I don't trust anyone else with knives this early. She almost smiled. Almost. He slid a plate toward her. Eggs, toast, fruit. You should eat, he said. You sound like my mother, she replied. Smart woman, he said without thinking. She sat. For a few minutes they ate in silence, not tense, not comfortable, something in between. The calm before the storm. Tell me about her, Aisha said suddenly. Jai-ho looked up. Who? The woman you were before, she said. The one who didn't belong to this. He set his fork down slowly. There was no before, he said, Only less blood. She considered that. Then tell me about the boy, she said, before the man. That took longer. My father taught me how to shoot when I was 9, he said eventually. I learned early that fear keeps people honest. And you, she asked, what kept you honest? He met her eyes. Responsibility. She nodded. I was honest because I had no choice, she said, because lying never saved me. Their truths sat together, not touching but close. Later, she helped him clean a shallow cut on his shoulder he had been pretending didn't hurt. You're terrible at resting, she said, pressing gauze gently. I'm still alive, he replied. That's not the same, she echoed his words from before. He watched her hands move with quiet focus. You could have left, he said, last night when I slept. She didn't look up. And go where? She asked. Fear travels light. He exhaled. You don't owe me anything, he said. I know, she replied. That's why I'm still here. The words landed harder than any confession. Afternoon faded into evening. The city below glittered, unaware. Jai-ho stood by the window, phone to his ear. He's quiet, he said, too quiet. A pause. Yes, I know what that means. He hung up and turned to her. We'll move again tomorrow, he said, just in case. She nodded, then surprised him again. Teach me, she said. He frowned. Teach you what? How to notice, she said. How to survive in your world. That's not a world you want, he said. It's the one I'm in, she replied. He studied her for a long moment. Then he handed her a small knife. Rule 1, he said, never hesitate. She took it, weight settling into her palm. Rule 2. Trust your instincts, he said. They kept you alive long before I did. Their eyes met. The air shifted between them again, slower this time, warmer. Not desire. Not yet. Understanding. That night, as rain tapped against glass, they sat on opposite ends of the couch, close enough to feel each other's presence. No words. Just shared silence. Outside, danger gathered. Inside, something fragile began to grow. And neither of them knew which would break first. The rain lasted all night. By morning, it had softened into a mist that clung to the glass walls of the apartment, turning the city below into a blur of lights and shadows. The world felt far away up here, like it belonged to someone else. Aisha woke before Jai-ho this time. That surprised her. She sat quietly on the edge of the couch, watching him sleep in the chair opposite her. His head was tilted back, eyes closed, jaw tense even in rest. One arm rested across his chest, the other close to the gun he never let out of reach. Even asleep, he was guarding. She studied his face, memorizing it without meaning to. The scar near his eyebrow, the faint darkness under his eyes, the calm mask that never fully dropped. This man had built an empire on control. And yet, here he was, exhausted, human, vulnerable in ways he would never admit. She looked away, guilt tightening her chest. She was the reason he hadn't slept. She moved quietly into the kitchen, careful not to wake him. She found simple ingredients in the fridge and started cooking, guided by instinct more than confidence. The sound of oil heating finally stirred him. He opened his eyes, instantly alert, gun in hand before he realized where he was. It's just me, she said quickly. He relaxed a fraction, lowering the weapon. You didn't have to, he said, watching her at the stove. I wanted to, she replied. That difference mattered. They ate together as the city woke below them. No phones, no interruptions, just the quiet clink of cutlery and the sound of breathing. This is dangerous, Jai-ho said suddenly. She looked up. Breakfast. This, he clarified, gesturing between them. Normal things. She considered that. Normal things are what remind people why they fight, she said. He didn't answer. After they cleaned up, he checked his messages while she stood at the window. Her reflection overlapped with the city, like she existed in two worlds at once. "Nothing new," he said. "That worries me." "Because silence means planning," she said. "Yes." She turned to face him. "What happens when it comes?" she asked. "The storm." He walked toward her slowly. "When it comes," he said, "I make sure you're not in the middle of it." "And if I already am?" His gaze softened, just slightly. "Then I stand in front of you." The words settled deep inside her. Later, he insisted on checking her hands, her arms, her neck, searching for bruises she might have ignored. "You're hovering," she said gently. "I know," he replied. "You don't trust me to tell you if I'm hurt." "I don't trust you to put yourself first," he said. She smiled faintly. "Fair." He cleaned a small scrape on her palm, his fingers brushing her skin with unexpected care. The touch lingered a second too long. Both of them felt it. The air shifted again, slower now, heavier. If either of them moved closer, something would break. Jaiho stepped back first. "We shouldn't," he said quietly. She nodded. "I know." But knowing didn't erase the pull. In the afternoon, the power went out again. This time, neither of them panicked. They sat on the floor near the window, backs against the wall, sharing the last of the daylight. Aisha leaned her head back, eyes closed. "When this is over," she said, "what will you do?" He didn't hesitate. "I don't think that far ahead." "What if you did?" she pressed. He looked at her, really looked. "I would disappear," he said, "somewhere no one knows my name." "And what about me?" she asked softly. He didn't answer right away. "Then I would want you safe," he said, "even if it's not with me." Her chest tightened, but she kept her voice steady. "That sounds like goodbye." "It's not," he said. "It's realism." She opened her eyes and met his gaze. "I don't want realism," she said. "I want honesty." He nodded slowly. "The honest answer," he said, "is that I don't know how to imagine a future without you in it." Silence wrapped around them. Not awkward. Not heavy. Just real. Outside, thunder rolled far away, low and distant. The storm wasn't here yet. But both of them felt it coming. And in that fragile calm, between rain and violence, something settled quietly into place. Trust. Not complete. Not blind. But enough to make what was coming hurt that much more. Night settled slowly, like it was giving them time on purpose. The apartment lights stayed off. Only the city glow slipped in through the glass, painting Jaiho's face in silver and shadow as he stood watch near the window. He hadn't moved in a long time. Aisha noticed. "You're thinking too loudly," she said from the couch. He glanced back at her. "That's dangerous," he replied. "So is silence," she said. He came over and sat on the opposite end of the couch, careful to leave space between them. Too much space, enough to pretend distance still existed. "You should sleep," he said. "I will," she answered, "when you do." A beat. "I don't sleep when things are coming," he said. She studied him, then reached for a blanket and stood. "Then neither will I," she said simply. He frowned. "That's not." "Fair," she finished gently. "You said fair matters." He didn't argue after that. Hours passed in quiet pieces. She rested her head against the wall. He kept his eyes on reflections in the glass. The world outside kept moving, unaware that two lives were balancing on the edge of something fragile. At some point, exhaustion won. Aisha's head tipped sideways, rested against his shoulder. Both of them froze. He could feel her breathing, slow, warm, real. She murmured his name softly in her sleep. Jaiho closed his eyes. This was a mistake. This was everything he had avoided for years. He didn't move her away. Instead, he adjusted the blanket so it covered her shoulders, his movements careful, reverent, like she was something breakable. When she woke later, disoriented, she realized where she was. She didn't pull away. I'm sorry, she whispered. Don't be, he said quietly. Just don't fall asleep like that again. She smiled faintly. You're lying. Yes, he admitted. They shared a small, dangerous smile. In the early hours before dawn, he finally spoke again. When this started, he said, voice low, I thought keeping you close was the safest option. And now, she asked. And now I'm not sure if it's protecting you, he said, or protecting myself from losing you. Her chest tightened. That sounds selfish, she said. It is, he replied. That's why it scares me. She turned fully toward him. I don't need you to be perfect, she said. I need you to be real with me. He met her gaze. I'm afraid, he said. The words felt heavy, rare. Of what? She asked. That if I let myself want you, he said, I won't survive losing you. She reached out, hesitated, then rested her fingers lightly on his wrist. Then don't lose me, she said. Outside, a car engine echoed below. Jai-Ho's body went instantly rigid. He stood, moving to the window. 3 things happened at once. Aisha felt it in her bones. Jai-Ho's phone vibrated in his hand. And somewhere nearby, a door slammed too hard. He checked the message. 1 word. Now. His jaw tightened. It's starting, he said. She stood, heart racing. Tell me what to do, she said. He looked at her, not as a liability, not as something to hide, but as someone standing beside him. Stay behind me, he said. If I say run, you run, no hesitation. And if you fall, she asked. His eyes held hers. Then you don't look back, he said. She shook her head. That's not fair. No, he said softly, but it's survival. Before they could say more, his phone vibrated again. A second message. A location pin. And a photo. The building across the street. Taken seconds ago. They were no longer waiting. Jai-Ho grabbed his gun, his jacket, his composure snapping back into place. Aisha's fear sharpened into resolve. If this ends badly, she said quickly, I need you to know something. He paused. Yes. I don't regret staying, she said, not for 1 second. Something broke through his control then, just for a heartbeat. Neither of them said more. Because the calm was over. And the storm had arrived. If you're emotionally invested right now, comment below what you think will happen next. The first shot didn't come from outside. It came from inside the building. The sound cracked through the hallway like thunder trapped in concrete. Aisha flinched as Jai-Ho spun, gun already raised, body moving before thought could catch up. Stay close, he said, voice low and sharp. They didn't run. They moved. Jai-Ho opened the apartment door just enough to check the hall. Empty, too empty. That was when the lights went out. Total darkness. Then the alarms started screaming. Sound effect, blaring alarms, echoing footsteps. Now, he said, grabbing her wrist. Move. They took the service stairwell, descending fast, footsteps echoing off metal. Aisha's lungs burned, fear and adrenaline twisting together until she couldn't tell them apart. Halfway down, the explosion hit. The stairwell shook. Concrete dust rained down. Aisha screamed as Jai-Ho pulled her hard against his chest, his body taking the impact. He hit the wall hard. She felt it. Jai-Ho, she gasped. I'm fine, he lied. Blood soaked through his shirt, where shrapnel had torn into his side. They kept moving. On the next landing, men appeared below them, armed, faces covered. Jai-Ho fired. 2 went down. The others returned fire. Sound effect, rapid gunfire ricochets. Aisha ducked, heart hammering. Run, he shouted. She hesitated. Aisha, run. That tone broke her. She turned and sprinted upward instead, taking the opposite route, drawing fire away from him without thinking. Damn it, he roared. She heard him fall behind her, heard him keep fighting even as she ran. At the roof access, a hand grabbed her hair and yanked her back. She screamed. A man slammed her against the door, gun pressed to her ribs. "Boss wants you alive," he said in Korean. "Lucky girl." She kneed him hard, screamed again, fought like panic had claws. He hit her. Stars exploded in her vision. Down the stairwell, Jai-ho heard her scream. Something in him snapped completely. He stopped thinking. Stopped calculating. He killed. By the time he reached the roof, bodies lay broken behind him, blood smeared across concrete like a path of rage. He burst through the door. Too late. Aisha was gone. Only her shoe lay on the ground, torn strap dangling uselessly. Jai-ho dropped to one knee, breath ripping from his chest. "No," he whispered. Rain began to fall, cold and relentless. Below, a black van sped away. Inside it, Aisha lay bound, head ringing, tears mixing with rain on her face. She had tried to be brave. It hadn't been enough. High above the city, Jai-ho screamed her name into the storm, fury and terror twisting together until they were the same thing. For the first time since he was a boy, Kang Jai-ho felt something worse than fear. Loss. The rain blurred the city into streaks of white and red as the van tore through traffic. Aisha lay on the cold metal floor, wrists bound, head pounding where she'd been hit. Every bump sent pain through her ribs. She forced herself to stay awake. Panic would waste oxygen. Fear would slow her mind. She couldn't afford either. The man sitting across from her watched in silence, mask on, gun loose in his hand. "Where are you taking me?" she asked, voice hoarse. He didn't answer. She tested the ropes with small movements, careful not to draw attention. Too tight, professional knots. Her thoughts went to Jai-ho instantly. Is he alive? Is he hurt? Did he follow? She swallowed hard. "You don't look back." His words echoed in her head, cruel and protective at the same time. The van slowed, turned, descended. When it stopped, hands grabbed her arms and dragged her out. Underground, concrete, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. A place not meant to be found. They shoved her into a chair and tied her down again, tighter this time. The door closed. Footsteps approached. She lifted her head. Kang Di-hyun stepped into the light, smiling like this was a dinner party he'd planned carefully. "So," he said, clapping once softly, "you're finally mine." Aisha stared at him, forcing her voice steady. "If you wanted to talk," she said, "you could have just knocked." He laughed. "I like efficiency," he replied, "and drama." He circled her slowly. "You're smaller than I expected," he said, "but I see it now." "See what?" she asked. "Why he changed," Di-hyun said. "Why he hesitated, why he made mistakes." Her jaw tightened. "You're wrong," she said. "I didn't change him." "No," he agreed. "You revealed him." He leaned down until his face was close to hers. "And that made you very dangerous." Across the city, Jai-ho moved like a man possessed. Blood soaked his side, but he ignored it. Pain was background noise. He ripped open the van tracker feed on his phone, hands steady despite the fury roaring in his chest. "I want every camera," he said into the phone. "Every toll, every alley, every underground entry in a 5-kilometer radius." "Yes, boss." Men scrambled, systems lit up, soul bent under his command. He stopped at the roof edge, staring down at the city that had taken her from him. This was his fault. He had hesitated. He had let love slow him. Never again. Back in the underground room, Di-hyun pulled out his phone. "I sent him a message," he said casually. "A simple trade." Aisha's stomach dropped. "Trade?" she asked. "You," he said, "for his empire." She laughed once, bitter. "He'll kill you before that happens." Di-hyun smiled wider. "That's why it's interesting," he said. "Because this time, killing me will kill you too." He showed her the screen. A live video feed. Jai-ho, bleeding, standing on the roof. Her breath caught painfully. "He's coming," she whispered. "Yes," Di-hyun said, "and when he does, he'll have to choose." He stepped back toward the door. "Rest," he added. "Tomorrow will be unforgettable." The door slammed shut. Darkness swallowed the room. Aisha closed her eyes, fighting tears. "Jai-ho, please be careful." Above ground, Jai-ho loaded a fresh magazine, eyes empty of mercy. "They touched her," he said quietly. And Seoul braced itself. Because Kang Jai-ho was no longer defending. He was hunting. And this time, he would leave nothing standing. The night Jai-ho decided to end everything, Seoul didn't notice at first. Traffic moved. Lights blinked. People laughed inside warm rooms, unaware that something old and violent had been unleashed beneath their feet. Jai-ho stood in a dark garage, blood dried black against his shirt, jacket discarded. His men waited in silence. No one spoke unless spoken to. He didn't look angry. That was what terrified them. "Lock the perimeter," he said calmly. "No police, no noise." "Yes, boss." He checked his weapons with ritual care. One gun, then another, knife at his ankle, phone in his pocket with Aisha's tracker pulsing softly. Alive. That was all that mattered. "Di-hyun thinks this is a trade," Jai-ho said quietly. "It's not." A man shifted. "What is it, Hyung?" "A reckoning." They moved. Underground levels blurred together as they descended, access codes, breaking open doors that were never meant to open. Jai-ho led, always. He didn't rush. Predators didn't rush. Inside the warehouse complex, power flickered. Emergency lights cast long shadows. Men stood guard, unaware they were already dead. Jai-ho took the first one silently. Then the second. A third turned just in time to see his end. Sound effect, suppressed gunfire, bodies hitting concrete. Jai-ho moved through corridors like memory guided him. Every step closer sharpened his focus. Every breath steadied his aim. 3 things happened at once. Aisha strained against her restraints, forcing her hands through pain until skin burned. Jai-ho reached the inner security gate. And Di-hyun watched the monitors, smiling. "She's stronger than I thought," Di-hyun murmured as Aisha knocked the chair over and rolled, cutting her wrist against a broken edge she'd been working loose for minutes. Blood ran. Good. Pain meant control. She worked faster. In the hallway outside, Jai-ho planted an explosive and stepped back. The door blew inward. Chaos erupted. Gunfire, shouting, alarms screaming. Jai-ho didn't stop. He went through them. Men fell. He didn't count. He only moved. Aisha heard it before she saw it. The gunshots were closer now. Real. Her heart slammed. Jai-ho. She ripped one hand free, screamed as the rope tore skin, then forced the second. She stood dizzy, blood slick on her palms. The door burst open. Jai-ho stood there, gun raised, eyes wild and focused. And froze. They stared at each other for half a second that felt like years. "You're hurt," she said. "So are you," he replied. Then everything moved again. Di-hyun appeared behind her, gun to her head. "Drop it," he said calmly. Jai-ho didn't move. "Do it," Di-hyun said, "or she dies." Jai-ho's hand tightened on the gun. "Aisha," he said softly, "get ready." She didn't ask how. She trusted him. 3 things happened at once. Di-hyun pulled the trigger. Aisha ducked. Jai-ho fired. The bullet missed her by inches. Jai-ho's shot hit Di-hyun in the shoulder, spinning him back with a scream. Aisha ran. Jai-ho caught her, dragged her behind cover as the room exploded with noise. Sound effect, heavy gunfire, shouting. Men rushed in. Jai-ho fought like something ancient, ruthless, precise. Aisha grabbed the fallen gun and fired when she had to, hands shaking but mind clear. She wasn't helpless. Not anymore. Di-hyun crawled toward the exit, bleeding, laughing even now. You chose her, he gasped. You lost everything. Jae-ho stood over him, gun aimed. I chose what mattered, he said. He fired once. Silence followed. Breathing hard, Jae-ho turned to Aisha. She was shaking, crying, alive. He pulled her into his arms, holding her like the world might try to steal her again. It's over, he whispered. She clutched his shirt. No, she said softly. Now we survive what comes after. Sirens wailed in the distance. Jae-ho kissed her forehead, brief and fierce. Then he pulled away. Stay with my men, he said. I'll finish this. She grabbed his hand. Come back, she said. He met her eyes. I always do. And as he turned back toward the shadows, Kang Jae-ho knew one thing with terrifying clarity. He would burn the world down if it meant she never had to run again. The aftermath didn't arrive gently. It came with sirens, boots, and the echo of violence settling into concrete walls long after the last gunshot faded. Jae-ho moved fast. Too fast for anyone to stop him. He handed Aisha to his men himself, gripping her shoulders, forcing himself to look at her one last time. Stay, he said, no matter what you hear. Her fingers tightened in his jacket. Don't disappear on me, she said, voice shaking but firm. I won't, he promised. Then he turned away, before hesitation could kill him. The final level of the complex was deeper, older, built for secrets that were never meant to surface. Jae-ho descended alone. Blood loss was catching up to him now, but pain had lost its authority. He pressed his palm to his side, felt the wetness, ignored it. Di-hyun wasn't finished. Not yet. Jae-ho found him in the control room, slumped against a console, one arm hanging uselessly, blood pooling beneath him. The monitors flickered with static. Emergency lights painted the room red. You should be dead, Di-hyun said hoarsely. Jae-ho closed the door behind him. You should have never touched her, he replied. Di-hyun laughed weakly. She made you human, he said. That was your mistake. Jae-ho stepped closer. No, he said. Thinking power mattered more than people was yours. Di-hyun coughed, blood staining his lips. You'll lose everything, he said. The syndicate won't follow a man ruled by love. Jae-ho knelt in front of him. They already are, he said, because I protect what's mine. Di-hyun's eyes widened. Jae-ho leaned in, voice low, final. You wanted my throne, he said. Now you'll be remembered as the man who died trying to break me. He stood. He didn't shoot. He pulled the pin. Di-hyun realized too late. The explosion shook the lower levels, sealing the past in fire and rubble. Jae-ho staggered back up through smoke and falling debris, lungs burning, vision blurring. His men caught him before he collapsed. She's safe, someone said quickly. She's asking for you. Jae-ho forced himself upright. Across the loading bay, Aisha stood wrapped in a coat too big for her, face pale, eyes scanning until they found him. Relief broke her. She ran. He barely caught her before his knees gave out. I told you to stay, he said faintly. I stayed close enough, she replied, crying openly now. They held each other while the world tried to reassert itself. Police lights flooded the space. Orders were shouted. Evidence burned. Jae-ho gave quiet commands, handed over names that would protect his people and end the war cleanly. Deals he had prepared long before tonight. This was not chaos. This was closure. As medics pulled him away, Aisha fought to follow. Let me go, she said fiercely. She'll ride with him, Jae-ho ordered weakly, or no one does. The ambulance doors closed on them together. Sirens cut through the night. Inside, under harsh white light, the distance between them disappeared again. Aisha held his hand while medics worked, refusing to let go even when they asked. You scared me, she whispered. I scared myself, he admitted. She leaned closer. You don't get to save me and then leave, she said. He met her gaze, eyes heavy but alive. I'm not going anywhere, he said. Not if you'll stay. She nodded, tears falling freely. I already chose, she said. Outside, dawn began to break. Not clean, not soft, but real. And for the first time since fate had dragged them together, Jai-ho allowed himself to believe something impossible. They hadn't just survived. They had won. Together. The hospital room smelled like antiseptic and rain-soaked clothes. Machines beeped softly, steady and unforgiving, counting moments Jai-ho refused to lose. Aisha sat beside the bed, fingers wrapped around his hand like it was the only thing keeping him anchored to this world. His skin was warm, alive, bandaged across his side and shoulder, lines of pain etched into his face even as he slept. She watched his chest rise and fall. Each breath felt like permission to breathe again herself. A doctor had tried to make her leave earlier. She had looked at him calmly and said, no. Something in her voice had ended the discussion. Hours passed. Night slipped toward morning. Jai-ho stirred, brow tightening, breath hitching as pain dragged him back. Aisha, he murmured, not fully awake. I'm here, she said instantly, leaning closer. I'm right here. His eyes opened slowly, dark and unfocused at first. Then they found her. Relief hit him so hard it almost hurt more than the wounds. You stayed, he said hoarsely. Always, she replied. He swallowed, jaw tightening as memory returned in sharp flashes. Blood, fire, her scream. Did they touch you? He asked, voice rough. She shook her head. No, not after you came. His eyes closed briefly. I failed, he said. I let them take you. She leaned in, forehead resting gently against his. You came for me, she said. That's what matters. He opened his eyes again, really looking at her now. You could have died, he said, because of me. So could you, she replied softly, because of me. Silence settled between them, heavy but honest. Outside the room, footsteps passed, voices murmured, the world continued. Inside, something fragile unfolded. I need to say this, Jai-ho said quietly, before I lose the courage. Her breath caught. I built my life on control, he continued. I thought love was a weakness men like me couldn't afford. He tightened his grip on her hand. I was wrong. Her eyes filled, but she didn't interrupt. When I thought I'd lost you, he said, voice breaking despite his effort, nothing else mattered, not power, not loyalty, not survival. He looked at her like she was the only thing left in the room. I love you, he said simply, and it terrifies me. Tears slipped down her cheeks. I don't need you to be fearless, she whispered. I need you to be real. I can't promise safety, he said, or peace. My world doesn't work that way. She nodded. I know, she said, but I can promise I won't run anymore. He searched her face. You choose this, he asked, knowing everything I am. She smiled through tears. I choose you, she said, and I choose myself finally. Emotion cracked through him then, raw and unguarded. He lifted her hand and pressed it to his chest. This heart, he said, has never belonged to anyone. She felt the steady beat beneath her palm. It does now, she replied. A nurse knocked gently and stepped in, checking monitors, adjusting lines. She paused, sensing the moment, then quietly left them again. Jai-ho exhaled slowly. There will be consequences, he said. Power doesn't disappear quietly. I'm not asking for a fairy tale, Aisha said. I'm asking for truth. He nodded. Then here it is, he said. I will change what I can, I will leave what I must, and I will never lie to you again. She squeezed his hand. That's enough, she said. Morning light crept into the room, soft and pale. For the first time since they had collided, the future didn't feel like a threat. It felt like a choice. And both of them had just made it. The days that followed were slower, heavier. not because danger was gone, but because survival left room for feeling. Jai-ho remained in the hospital longer than he liked. His men rotated quietly outside the room, respectful, subdued. Power had shifted. Everyone felt it. No one questioned it. Aisha stayed. She learned the rhythm of his recovery. The moments when pain made him silent. The hours when sleep refused him. The way his fingers tightened around hers whenever nightmares dragged him halfway back into darkness. One night, he woke suddenly, breath sharp, eyes searching. She was there before the fear could fully take him. "It's over," she whispered, brushing her thumb over his knuckles. "You're here." He swallowed hard. "I don't deserve this," he said. She met his gaze steadily. "No one earns love," she said. "They choose it and they protect it." He looked away, jaw tight. "I've destroyed lives," he said. "I can't pretend that disappears." "I'm not asking you to," she replied. "I'm asking you to stop pretending you're only the worst thing you've done." That landed deeper than comfort. The following morning, he asked for his phone. Not to give orders. To end things. He made 3 calls. Short, precise, final. When he finished, he looked exhausted in a way blood loss couldn't explain. "It's done," he said. Aisha searched his face. "What's done?" "I stepped back," he said. "Not out, but away from the center. The syndicate will survive without me ruling every shadow." She absorbed that slowly. "And you?" she asked. "I survive differently," he said. They were discharged 2 days later. No crowds, no announcements. Just a quiet exit into a waiting car. The city looked the same. They didn't. At the apartment, Aisha opened windows, letting air and light in like she was reclaiming space. Jai-ho watched her, leaning lightly on the counter, still healing, still dangerous, but no longer alone. That night, they sat together on the couch, closer than before. No weapons within reach. That felt like progress. "Are you afraid you'll regret this?" she asked. He considered it. "I regret waiting," he said. She leaned into him carefully, aware of his injuries. He rested his cheek against her hair, breathing her in like grounding. "This won't be easy," he said. "I don't need easy," she replied. "I need honest." He tilted her face up, hesitant, searching for permission even now. She gave it with a nod. The kiss was slow. Careful. Nothing like desperation. Everything like choice. Later, as the city settled into sleep, Jai-ho spoke again. "If you ever want to leave," he said quietly, "I won't stop you." She smiled faintly. "If I ever leave," she said, "it won't be because I'm afraid." He nodded. That mattered. Outside, rain began again, lighter this time. Aisha rested her head against his chest, listening to the steady beat beneath scars and promises. They had survived obsession. They had survived power. Now came the harder part. Living with what remained. If this story touched your heart, subscribe, share it, and comment your favorite moment.